man so much. A few years back, we went to a Super Bowl breakfast, and Doug has spent a good many years with NFL players, and that's through Athletes in Action. So this is kind of fitting for him. This is his arena, and Doug, when we went up there, it just seemed like everybody knew you. Everywhere we walked, people knew who you were, and we're just honored to have you here.
Yes.
He's one of our pastors here, one of our lay pastors here, and he just offers so much to the church. Thank you, Doug, for you, your wife, and your family being here. Encourage us in our giving.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, what a morning, huh? We've got some talent at this church. You're going to see some talent on the field today.
Yeah.
We've already been talking about the Airborne Church team. I want to talk to you a little bit about the two teams that are going to be on the field today. I know a couple things about them. They have some great leadership.
Yeah.
They got a great coach. Both teams have great coaches. They have great leadership on the field from players. They're two quarterbacks, Brady and Ryan. They're humble guys. And I know that the players, they love each other because they wouldn't be successful unless they did. I mean, that's a given.
Yeah.
Teams that succeed and that have made it to this level, there's a brotherhood. They love each other.
Yeah.
And they play for each other. And they would even go as far as maybe dying for each other.
Yeah.
And now we can talk about how that relates to our Airborne Church team.
Yeah.
God calls us as members of this church and folks in this church to even a higher level of love and a higher calling than being on an NFL football team.
Yeah.
This is his team.
Yeah.
This is the church.
Yeah.
And in John chapter 13, Jesus came. He left heaven and he came to earth. And he had followers while he was here. And in John chapter 13, he was preparing his followers for when he was going to go to the cross and leave them.
Yeah.
And what he was actually doing, he was preparing them to be the church. They didn't know it at the time, but that's what he was doing. And some of the things that he told them was they needed to love God, number one. And then they needed to love each other like he had loved them while he was here on earth. Now we can't. And he's saying the same things to us. We as a church, we need to love God first. And then with that love that God gives us, that we have that relationship with him, out of us flows that love for each other.
Right.
Now we can't love each other that way without relying on Jesus, without relying on the Holy Spirit. That's what Jesus was telling his followers. So as you become a part of this church, you will learn to love each other here. And this church is a church that loves each other. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're at the right place. You're at the place where God has called you.
Good.
Now our coach, we have a great coach. It's Jesus. Our coach is Jesus, and we have two great quarterbacks, Pastor Kevin and Pastor Beth.
Yeah.
They're our leaders. They're getting their direction from Jesus, and they're leading us.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening at this church. Now today on the field, you're going to see people using their gifts and talents that God has given them. They may not know that, but that's what they're doing as they perform out there on the field, as they do what God has blessed them to do. And this is the place that God has chosen for us to be a part of, this team, to come and use our gifts and talents. So when you come to this church, you bring your talents, you bring your gifts, and you bring your treasures. And that's what we're talking about right now. Your treasure. God says, bring it all to him, give it to him, and he will use it in ways that we can never imagine.
Yes.
We don't need to control our gifts, talents, and treasures. He does, because he knows how best to use them. So as you come to this church and you give back to God of your gifts and talents and treasures, watch what he does with them.
Good.
Watch what he does with them. Now, as you prepare your offering, take a look at Airborne News.